Hello everyone, I'm Farheen Siddiqui. I'm a teaching associate at Monash University and University of Melbourne and did my master's by research at Monash, where I worked with Action Lab, an interdisciplinary HCI group based at Monash University in Melbourne, Australia. I'll be sharing key insights from our paper exploring the digital support needs of caregivers of people with serious mental illness. How can we support digital practices around peer support? And how do we take into account the resourcing challenges that caregivers and the people with serious mental illness face in low and middle income countries, primarily in India? We also proposed design considerations to design reciprocal peer support spaces that can bridge service gaps by helping with the physical and mental health burden of caregivers and will support recovery of persons with severe mental illness. Illnesses like bipolar disorder and schizophrenia are diagnosed as severe mental illnesses or SMIs that cause functional impairment in daily activities of affected individuals. These SMIs can reduce life expectancy by 25 years. In low and middle income countries, particularly in India, families or caregivers are the only support systems for diagnosed individuals to fend for all their needs, from physiological to treatment, as it is given that 90% people live with their families and almost 12 million people suffer from these illnesses in India. This places a huge burden on these carers and impact their mental and physical health. This is exacerbated due to the inadequate medical provision and underlying stigma with mental illness, which leaves these carers isolated and unsupported. Further consequences of stigma include concealing the illness to protect the family's reputation, which results in a treatment gap of 80% in India. So the foremost aim of our study is to explore needs and challenges faced by caregivers and delve into their current technology usage. The second aim was to investigate current practices by NGOs to support these carers and how they can employ technology to serve them better. To achieve this aim, we designed our study to include 10 interviews with caregivers. We also conducted 2 workshops with 7 professionals, which included certified psychologists and social workers from our partner NGOs in India. This was spanned around a double diamond framework in which we conducted interviews and workshops in the discovery phase and synthesized the qualitative data to present design considerations, leaving phase 3 and 4 for future research. Through the interviews, we sought participants' perspectives on their challenges, their options for assessing support, and the potential for technology and digital services to support them. In the first workshop, professionals gave views on their current service delivery through focus group discussions and brainstormed design ideas for peer support groups, which informed potential functions and critical enablers of a digital tool. The second workshop was structured around 2 design activities, personas and creep and grow tools, which were combined to gather professional views on responding to the themes we developed from the interviews and early ideation ideas from the first workshop. Inductive coding was carried out to analyze interview transcripts, which resulted in 5 overarching themes, whereas deductive thematic analysis was used for the workshop data based on the themes, leading to the further development of interview data themes. Firstly, the caregivers articulated the extreme burden they experienced in caring for a person with SMI, which mainly stemmed from a tremendous sense of obligation and frequently reported guilt in their inability to do so. A number of key barriers to recovery emerged from the analysis, including caregivers feeling that they lacked essential knowledge about illness, and the support they received from medical professionals were often insufficient. We have contrasting results from urban and rural populations for experiencing stigma. Caregivers in urban areas faced expansive stigma due to which they were often isolated and faced a lack of support from relatives and friends. In sharp contrast, people in rural areas reported more accepting and supportive social environments. Some caregivers used online and face-to-face peer support groups, which gave them a sense of hope or confidence in their abilities to overcome challenges. However, there were barriers to effective engagement, including negative online interactions, lack of individualized support, difficulties in attending face-to-face settings, and unavailability of digital health tools like internet and smartphones, especially with rural population. Participants' comments reflected the significance of identifying peers with similar experiences at the time of need to alleviate feelings of helplessness. Workshop findings were centered around 2 overarching themes: creating values for caregivers and enabling ongoing engagement. Potential functions include offering solutions through lived experiences where professionals agreed that real-life experiences from caregivers who have gone through the same problems should be incorporated in the support group. Participants expressed that caregivers are burdened with difficult emotions which can be alleviated by connecting with other caregivers, and this will inculcate sense of belonging. The professionals emphasized the need to establish emphatic and safe spaces for caregivers to connect with peers who would not judge them. The professionals proposed that caregivers should be connected based on similarities beyond diagnostic labels, such as their background and needs, in contrast to current one-size-fits-all approaches. The foremost enabling factor was that a digital tool should cater to people of all technical literacy and cultural backgrounds, and as such, a support group should have both online and offline mode depending on technological access with carers. The participants raised the use of psychological first aid so that the facilitator can be trained in various psychological modules at both the individual and group levels to cater to different circumstances. Caregivers must be able to engage with one another even in the absence of mobilizers in order to gain autonomy. Our findings add to a growing body of work that shows that accessing well-designed peer support has enormous potential to help caregivers in low to middle income countries where the health system lacks the capacity to provide the services to persons with SMI and their families. Firstly, we noticed that the caregivers need social and emotional support through the information that others can share with them to mitigate the physical and mental health burdens they face, which will subsequently reduce barriers to recovery of persons with SMI. Secondly, online peer support has to be particularly attentive to the way that a new user is welcomed to the community, and fortunately, purposely designed peer support can provide new caregivers with the information needed to better take care of themselves and their loved ones to make the most of the limited support available in the current health system, for example, finding a good doctor. Finally, this approach revealed new insights that expanded participants' conceptions of support beyond mere information and belonging networks to include instrumental support, such as advocating together for structural reforms like strengthening family rights, disability compensation, rehabilitation services, and more. Finally, group configuration should be personalized and peers should be matched on similar characteristics instead of diagnosis. Online groups require intentional moderation design in order to control negative online community behaviors. Caregivers should be in charge of their interaction, which demands exploration into models for training and encouraging caregivers for group facilitation. Unplatform designs such as social media platforms, IVR systems to simple phone calls can be incredibly beneficial as informal peer support sources to alleviate the digital divide. Thanks for watching. We encourage you to read our paper and please get in touch with me at the email above if you want to chat about this research or brainstorm ideas related to this.